Hello, my posse. Hello, all my new subscribers. I so appreciate you coming to my living room today. If you're new to my channel, my name is Barbara. I am 79 years old, and today we're going to talk a little bit off of my beaten path of my channel. And a lot of you who subscribe to me know that I am kind of an upbeat person. I am a believer in to be the best version of yourself that you can possibly be. That is my mantra. But today I'm going to take you away from that, not totally, but we're going to talk a little bit about dealing with the loss of a loved one and how in the world do we possibly get through this. As you know, I lost my son last year, and it has been a very hard journey to go through. And today, me and Susan from The Little Poet, we've been talking a long time about doing a video kind of together about our own ways on how we deal with grief. Of course, you know, we have different people that we're mourning. She has, you know, her grief, and I have my grief. And we thought maybe that putting out a video about our grieving would help you maybe get in touch a little bit with the process. I hope you go over and visit The Little Poet, Susan. I'm sure all of my subscribers already subscribe to her. She's phenomenal. She's helped me. She's talked to me on the phone. We've chatted about grief and the different ways that her and I accept grief into ourselves. And, you know, everybody is just so different. And we just wanted to maybe try to come on here and give you all a little hope, a little understanding about the process that we go with it. So I hope when you're done watching my video that you'll go over and pay her a visit and listen to her. Sorry, I had a slight interruption. My husband has to check in every 5 minutes that he's gone away from home. Anyway, but yeah, I hope that you go over and pay Susan a visit and listen to her part of life that she's dealing with her grief. And but for now, we're just going to chat a little bit about my feelings and how I have dealt with grief at my end. And I hope that you pick up something, you learn something, and you can handle the situation maybe just a little bit better, knowing that other people are dealing with the same losses in their life. And I hope I bring you some inspiration. So with that, let me first go on to say that my first loss was my sister-in-law. And that was a couple of years ago. I was very close to my sister-in-law, and her sudden tragedy, her death came really sudden, and I was just devastated. And I'm saying that because each person in your family, no matter who they are, family or friends, you suffer a great loss of a different nature. Each one is so special, not special in the terms like, wow, that's special, but in just, they have their own entity in your life, in your own way that you handle that particular part of grief. You know, there's lots of grief that we go through in life, not only from human grief. I mean, you can lose a pet. You're grieving over a pet. You know, your home. Maybe you lost your home. You lost your car. You lost your job. Maybe a favorite TV show that you loved, that it's been part of your family for like 5 seasons, all of a sudden is gone. That's the way I was with Good Witch, because Good Witch went off and I was like, I won't see that family anymore. You know, that's you know, kind of off the trail a little bit, you know, sidetracked, as I say. But, you know, you grieve over so many things in so many different ways, but you feel that emptiness of that particular grief. I mean, I lost my pet, who was just an amazing pet. That was just, to lose a pet is just very difficult on you when you're so close and they're so loving. So each person you grieve and each thing you grieve in your life is a grief, but it's it's so different in so many ways. I lost my niece, who was 59 years old, who died like this at a gas station, pumping gas. She was DOA, and the tragedy of that is she was watching my sister, who at the time had dementia, and she was her sole caregiver, and she had just ran out in the morning and got gas, and that was it. And she was such a wonderful caregiver to my sister that she never took care of herself. And so that was a tragic loss. And then 2 months after Lisa passed, my sister had gone into a nursing home and she had passed away. So I had like 3 bams. And I grieved in so many different ways and so much sadness. It was just, it was hard to imagine that part of my life growing up was at an end. Not to mention my mom and dad, who passed away. My dad passed away 86, my mom in 2002, and that was a loss in itself, I must say. But last year, when I lost my son last August, if somebody would have told me, hey, you're going to lose one of your children, I would have said, no way, I'll never handle it. I'll curl up in a ball and die. There's no way that you can handle such a loss. And here I am. I'm standing before you talking about this, and I managed to put one foot in front of the other, and I don't want to say move forward, because I don't think you really move forward from a death, especially of a child, but you learn to move closer to healing, I guess, with each step that you take. And it's funny, well, not funny, but the way we perceive life sometimes is not always the way that it happens. Nobody ever tells us the tragedies that we have to go through in life. They just kind of are dropped on us. And I think I handled it by just being with my family, who were so supportive. And I think when you lose someone close to you, you've got to lean on people that you still have, that love you. Maybe you've lost a child. And I know when I posted my video last year about losing my son, so many of you commented to me that you were dealing with the loss of your daughter or your son or your husband or your sister or your brother. There were so many of us in this grieving community. I was like shocked, because I think when it happens, you think you're alone. You're the only one that's going through this. Nobody understands this, but there are so many of us, and especially today, life is so fragile. It can be taken away in the blink of an eye. And I'm so grateful to have I saw my son 2 weeks before he passed, and we went to Nashville. You saw my posse that's been with me. I posted the video. We had an amazing time. He was amazing. He was uplifting. He was happy, and he kind of wanted us to stay longer and longer. He didn't want us to go, and I thought, well, that was really cute, and I didn't know at that time that 1 week later he would be gone. And had I known, I probably would have stayed longer. My son, I don't ever want to paint him a picture. Hold on. But I don't want to paint him a picture of him being anything but this happy, fun-loving kid, because he was just a really super kid growing up. He was very close to me. I'm gonna grab some water, hold on. Yeah, he was very close to me, very close to his dad, very close to his brothers and sisters. He had a beautiful marriage, 29 years. He would have been married 30 years in January. Produced a marvelous grandson. My grandson, Blake, is absolutely phenomenal. He would be so proud of him. He's an entrepreneur and doing well in his business, grieving on his own over the loss of his dad. So I'm not the only one that, well, it's different for me because he was my son. He left a lot of footprints on people's hearts when he passed. And I want to say that my son had some mental health issues, and he was so good at not ever telling anybody what his problems were. And I think for that reason, I'm telling you this because there are so many people out there who are dealing with this, and you don't know really how to deal with it. And I'm telling you, there isn't a whole lot that you can do to help people. I mean, depending on the problem that they're going through, I mean, I guess you can do interventions and you can do different things like that. But if they don't want the help, there's not a whole lot you can do for somebody that's dealing with the severity of anxiety, depression, claustrophobia. I mean, he had insomnia. There were so many things that he was dealing with, but they were internal. He didn't bring them to anybody's attention. He was just wanted everybody else to be happy. He wanted everybody else to love him for what we wanted to love him for. And so a lot of things like that he would say to me, we would laugh about, just crazy things. Like one time he called me and he was, Mom, you're not going to believe this. I went to the car wash today. I go to this car wash all the time, Mom. And he said, they closed the back door and I was okay. And then they closed the front door and he says, I got claustrophobia. I said, oh my gosh, you did? Because we've all suffered that. I said, what did you do? He said, I opened up the car door and I ran out. I go, you what? He goes, yeah, he got to the guy at the counter and the guy looked at him. He was like drenched. And the guy looked at him, he goes, how'd you get out of your car? He goes, I crawled out the bottom. And the guy had to hit the button and shut the line off because all the cars had to stop because Jeff obviously left his door kind of open. So, and he laughed about it. And that's really kind of a clue that, well, maybe this is more serious than we think it is but he never wanted us to believe that. And I think mental health has no face. And you can be there with them. And the one thing that I am grateful for, and I would say to you, have no regrets. When my sister-in-law passed away, it was so difficult for me. You know why? Because I was supposed to call her. Like, she kept saying, let's talk. And I'd say, okay, Loretta, I'll call you next week. I promise I'll call you next week. I got busy with the kids. I got busy with my own self. I didn't call her. And then one day I get a call that she was gone. And I had to live with that. It was like, why didn't I call her? Why didn't I take time? And I say that on my channel. If you haven't talked to somebody in a while, make the time. Stop what you're doing. Make the time. Make that call because you don't want any regrets. You don't want any regrets. And I think that the part of grieving is when you lose somebody. The part of it that you take with you in your grief process is the regrets and the guilt. Why didn't I? How did I not see that? Well, what could I have done different? What is my problem? What am I doing? Why didn't I? There's all these little guilt and these regrets that you have, and I think that you take those with you when somebody passes, and they manifest into this bigger problem and this bigger grief that you carry around with you. So sometimes you're grieving over the person, but you're also grieving over yourself because of the regrets that you have. I should have said this to my mom. I should have said that to my dad. I should have said this to my child. I should have said this to Aunt, Matilda. Or I should. So you don't want to have grief on top of regret. So I always make sure that I go through life and that the people that I love, I tell them every day that I love them. So I tell them what I'm thinking. How can I help you? I watch out for any things that I know might be a factor in their well-being, and then try to act on that without telling anybody what to do. And I think if you have somebody in your family that is suffering from any kind of mental health, you need to just kind of keep on top of it, but love them and care for them. And sometimes you can't fix a problem, no matter how hard you try. And as a mom, or a wife or husband, whatever, you you can't fix certain things, and sometimes it can make you crazy. But what you can fix is yourself, and you can fix, being the best version of yourself that you can be, and that applies to loving somebody, hugging them, making sure that you kiss them, making sure that that hug is extra tight. Like I say, I saw my son the week before he passed. I did hug him. I wish I would have hugged him tighter, but I did hug him. And I'm so grateful that we made that decision that week to go and see him. It was the best decision I ever made. And he lived in another state. And I think too, this process of grief, I just sometimes pretend that he's still in Nashville and he's still working, because I didn't see him every day. I talked to him on the phone practically every night. He would call me or he would call my husband. Those calls I missed tremendously. But actual physical contact with him every day I didn't have. I'm not saying that makes the situation any better, but I didn't have that everyday contact like I have with my daughter and my grandkids here. I have that everyday contact, but I did have that phone contact with him every single day. And every time we talk, I love you, Mom. I love you too, Jeff. Or he would say, hey, Mom, remember da-da-da-da-da. Remember when I was little and I did this and I did that? And I go, oh my God, yeah, I forgot about that. And he goes, oh gosh, I remember, and we would reminisce about the old days. And I think that is still important to me, because I still reminisce about the memory and the old days and how he was. And I do that with my family that have passed. I can't think about the death part of it as being an ending. See, I'm not ever a preacher on my channel about religion or whether you believe in God, whether you don't believe in God. That is totally up to you. It's just like grieving. Grieving, you can't tell somebody how to grieve. You can't tell somebody, okay, it's time to get over it. Now, it's been a year. Get over it. People say that to me, have said something to that effect. There is no set time. There's no switch. I don't have a switch here that says, okay, turn it off, turn it on, turn it off, turn it on. Grieving is a process that you go through on your own. Everybody is so different. You grieve over things so differently. Like I say, a pet, a loved one, a TV show. But you grieve so differently for so many different things, and everybody is so different. And the only thing that you can do for yourself is just have no regrets, have no guilt. Same with my mom, my dad, when they passed away. Oh my goodness, it was just, my dad was like the matriarch of the family. He held the family together like glue. When he passed away, the family just kind of did their own thing. And because when my dad said, I'm having dinner at 5 o'clock, you better show up at 5 o'clock. Because if you didn't, you'd get this the whole dinner. That's what you get from my mother and dad. They wouldn't talk to you practically. It's the Italian thing. Everybody sits down at the table at the same time. No ifs, ands, and buts about it. So when he passed away, part of the whole family passed away. So we all grieved in so many different ways for my father. It was just, he was a wonderful, wonderful man. So yeah, that all said, like I say, I am not here to tell you how to grieve. That is an individual choice that you have. And like I said before, I believe that my son walks by me, next to me every day. That's the belief I choose to believe. You may look at me and go, oh, she's kind of crazy. But I talk to my son every day. We have a conversation. And sometimes he'll answer me in the craziest ways, maybe an hour later or something. But we have these little conversations. And believe it or you don't believe it, but it gets me through the day. It gets me through the day to know that I will see him one day. And it's sometimes you have to reach in and pull out some beliefs maybe that you forgot you had, or maybe you're mad at God for something, or whatever. There's many people I know that have suffered grief who have turned away from God. And sometimes you have to have some belief in something for us to keep going today. Do we know for a fact that any of the things that we believe in are factual fact? No, but it's a belief that we have in our heart, and it's what keeps me going every single day. I can talk to him. The other day I lost my little necklace, and I couldn't find it. I spent the whole day looking for it. And finally I said, okay, Jeff, where's my necklace? I mean, it's got to be in this house someplace. Where's my necklace? And like 20 minutes later, I got up and I went into my bathroom. And for some reason, I got down on my hands and knees, and there was my necklace behind the can. And I was like, okay, thanks, Jeff. Now, think that's crazy, if you may. But I think he pushed me in that direction. And my husband has also had some things and asked Jeff, okay, Jeff, where are you? And somehow we find him. So whether you think that's crazy or not, it's a belief that I have. It helps me get through my day and my grief and my loss by thinking he's right here with me. Every step I take, I know he's by my side. I don't think that there is a right way and a wrong way to grieve. There is your way, and that's all there is. There is your way. And I think if you shut them out, you shut the grief out, you don't want to think about it. You just don't. Your grieving will become larger down the road. You have to get it out, because without tears, without grief, there was no love. And I had a lot of love for the people that I've lost. So yeah, I'm going to grieve. I mean, if you love somebody, you're going to grieve for their loss. I mean, we're human, and if we're good humans, that's the way life is. And I just think it's a process that we have to go through, and we have to hold on to our beliefs and to the process of grieving that we just have to get through. And we owe it. I owe it to my son, and I owe it to everybody who has passed before me. I owe it to them to keep their memory alive. I owe it to them. And that's what I teach my grandkids and people that I don't even know. You, my subscribers, I've told you a little bit before how my son was, and I owe it to him to introduce him to people who never knew him, but I owe it to him to keep his memory alive. And that helps me. I mean, it helps me. You help me. My subscribers, you guys, when that happened to me last year and I put my video out there and me and my husband put one out there, your gifts, your flowers, not that, I want anything from anybody, but your emotions for me helped me heal in some capacity. And I think the support that you give me, the support that I got from my family, it helps me heal. I have no grudges. I have no grudges against anybody who I feel maybe harmed my son or maybe didn't treat my son right or whatever. I hold no grudges because I have no grudges of my own. I know what I've done as a mom. I know, do I have regrets because I yelled at him too much when he was little? Yeah, of course. I think about those things every so often. Gosh, I shouldn't have yelled at him so much. But you used to always tell me, Mom, if you wouldn't have yelled at me so much, I'd probably been in jail. Because he was a rough kid. He was that middle kid, and he just made the most of that middle kid. He was a tough little kid. I never knew where he was going to end up. When he left the house, it was like, but. Yeah, you have little things like that pop up. But on the whole, I have no regrets. I just have great memories. So my advice would be to surround yourself with the people that mean the most to you. Surround yourself with your loved ones. Surround yourself with people that care about you. Be the force of life that your loved ones would have wanted. Find something to do that maybe takes your mind off of it. My daughter-in-law is stuck now in this beautiful home that they shared in Nashville. And she has to sell everything, sell the house, sell the pieces of furniture one by one by one by one that they built together. And she is stuck doing that. And I think as hard as that is to process, like, how in the world will I ever get through that? I think about that here. How would I ever do this if something happened to Denny? I would be forced to do all this. But somehow we find deep inside us that strength that comes forward. I don't know. God gives it to us. but it just comes forward and we deal with it. And I think for everything that my daughter-in-law is selling, or for every move that she's making, it's sad, but it's a step towards her next journey, and it's a step towards healing. And it kind of gets her mind off of the tragedy that she's had to endure, as well as my grandson. They are left with this to pick up the pieces, and they're doing it. And it's piece by piece, day by day, step by step, and they'll get through it, because inside somewhere we have this strength. I never thought that I would have the strength that I have to go on without a child or a loved one that I lost, but here I am. And I think when I say on my channel, be the best version of yourself you can, it not only is a version of yourself, whether it's your wigs, your hair, your makeup, whatever, it's also being the best version of yourself and liking yourself. Like my granddaughter says, she's her best friend when she looks in the mirror. But that's the person, the strong person that you need to be to handle tragedies, because no one says that life is going to be easy, and no one says you're never going to get through life without tragedies. We just all deal with them differently, is all. And we have to move forward. And if you have a day, like I have a day where I just want to scream and get hysterical because I saw a cardinal, or I heard a song that was my son, if I have to scream and cry for that 5 minutes, I'll do it. It's just the way it is. It's my internal switch, I guess. And I'll scream and cry, and then all of a sudden I just feel this peacefulness come over me, and I go, okay, that's enough. But it's okay. It's okay to not be okay. So, as I leave you today, I want you to know there's hope, there's help, and there's healing. There's hope that one day your step will be a little bit lighter. There's hope that someday you'll meet your loved one again. There's hope that they're happy with whatever their journey has taken them. And there's also help. There's help, people out there that are willing to support you. If you need a grieving center, there's places that will support you. So there's hope, there's help, and there is healing. And we have to go through those channels to get to where we're at on the other side of this grief process. So I hope in some way this helped you, and I hope that you know that if you've lost somebody, that you're not alone, and that we all grieve, and we all grieve in such different directions, but we all meet in the center with, some of us have a broken heart, but we have a heart that's full of memories, wonderful memories, and no regrets. And as I always say in my videos, be the I in kind, because we all need that today. And I'm going to leave you a little bit. I put together a little pictures. I want you to meet my son. I want you to meet my son, and I want you to see how happy he was, terrific person he was, and that he was a great son, he was a great husband, he was a great father, and just a good uncle, brother. He was a great person, and that there was more to him than mental health. He was super wonderful person. So I want to introduce you to my son, and I'm glad I have the opportunity to introduce him to all of you, and enjoy this 2-minute segment of my family. And thank you so much for watching. Live your life happy and have no regrets. Thank you, and I love you all. Thank you so much for watching. And I will link Susan's video in my description box below so you can pay her a visit. And thank you all for watching, and now meet my son and my family. I love you guys. Bye. Thank you for coming.
Stop. Can't believe I live in your thoughts. I think about you all the time, morning, evening, and midnight. Such a wonderful delight. everything that I own. Yeah, I'd give it all up now just to be with you somehow. Unexpected love was found. You're the rose in a garden, and it shows if I'm honest. You're the leaves in mid-August, and I've come out here to say that I love you. Ooh, ooh, you, ooh, ooh. So slow, hold you in my arms, won't let go. The world around could pass us by, a thunderstorm, a lightning strike, as we hold each other